really appreciate your time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spend a little bit of time in PowerPoint, very quickly, just what is bi360, what are the components, and how would it fit in your environment. And then the remainder of the time, I'll spend in the actual demonstration and showing you the product. So what is bi360, and what are the components of it? What this slide is going to do is show you bi360, 4 primary areas we specialize in. First is reporting, so extracting your data, getting results of what has already happened, and predicting what's going to happen in the future. Second is planning, so this is both operational and financial, budgeting and forecasting. Then dashboarding, seeing your data in a graphical interface. And then lastly, this data warehouse, which is taking all of your data sources. And before I do that, let me ask, how many of you guys have other data sources aside from your accounting system? Okay. So what the warehouse enables you to do is, instead of having separate reporting tools, have one that consolidates all of those data sources so you can report across them. The actual modules itself, quickly going through this, you'll see that all of the report design happens in Excel. And it's Excel with all of the formatting and all of the formulas, because it's really Excel. But it's Excel with drag and drop capabilities, and you're connected to a database. So everything is going to be automated. We also have, which I'm not going to be able to show today because of time constraints, an ad hoc reporting tool. And what this is for is quick, on-the-fly answers. So if you want to see, what do we pay a specific employee the last 3 months? You can get that answer in a few minutes by doing drag and drop analysis. Now, from an execution standpoint, you're going to be able to execute your reports in Excel, one way, second, on the web, and also through mobile apps. And we have applications both in Google Play for Android devices and in the Apple Store. And then what you also see is planning, very much married to the reporting piece, where you actually start by creating a report and then you turn it into an input form. And then the bottom is you're going to be able to analyze that data and view graphical interfaces, and then again, warehousing, which leads us into the last slide before I get into the product. And what this will answer is, great, I like the 4 components, but how is it going to fit in my environment? And what you can see from the architecture slide, how do all the 4 components fit together? One is reporting. For reporting purposes, what you'll see is we're able to report live off certain ERPs. So for example, Dynamics and Business One, we offer a live integration. What does live mean? What that means, as an example, when an accountant goes in and posts a journal entry, you'll immediately see that in the reporting tool, because we're directly live off the ERP tables. Furthermore, I just use accounting as an example. You'll be able to report across all the modules that you have in your ERP system. But the next is, you're saying, all right, well, what if I have those other data sources? What if I have a CRM? What if I keep a lot of statistical data in Excel? That's where what you can do is leverage this data warehouse manager. In very simple terms, it's a SQL Server-based data warehouse where we take all the data that you have in your sources, and what we typically do, you can adjust this. So this could be CRM, this could be Excel, point of sale system, whatever you have, using SQL Server integration services, upload that into the warehouse. And then what's really cool is you're using the exact same reporting tool to report across all of your data sets. Okay? So that's one, reporting. Now you're saying this is great, but a lot of you raised your hands for budgeting. We also have the ability to go through and input data to create forecasts, budgeting, and really what you'll see as the rule of thumb is anything you can do in Excel, you can do with our tool. But now it's connected to a database, which the benefits for that is one, you have a point of collection for all of that. You store your information. Two, everything is automated. And three, what you'll see is you can do advanced functionality, line item details, account for seasonality, and much more. And then the last piece is this is not working, this dashboard, where you can view both your reports and graphical interfaces on the web. What I'll do today, I'll start off with this piece, which is really how are end users going to consume their reports and view dashboards. Then I'll go and build a report, and I'm going to build a report from scratch just so you can see how complex, or hopefully lack thereof, it is to build a report. And then I'll show you a little bit more of an advanced report. What else can you do with our software? And then finish with budgeting and forecasting. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first thing is, imagine you're a business user and you're saying, great, everything's finished. How can I actually consume these reports? What's going to be my daily experience? And what I'll show you here is I'm going in and connecting to the portal. And what's interesting here is I'm logging in with certain security credentials. The security applied in bi360 is going to be applied across all of the applications in our suite. So you set up security in one place, and then that security is applied everywhere. And what I see here is I have all the reports and dashboards all nicely organized. But what I like to do here is go in and toggle certain ones as favorites. And that's advantageous because what I can do is just go to the favorites and see the ones that are most relevant for me. That way, your business users have a personalized experience here. You can also keep everything organized here in the left-hand folder. So maybe you have your sales reports in one place, your operational in another, and so forth. What I'm going to do here, I'm just showing you sample reports, but you're going to be able to optimize these and create these based off your own business. So what I see here in our example, I have a few dashboards. So I have a benchmarking dashboard showing you how you're doing compared to other companies. Executive, giving you a holistic overview of the business. And then getting more granular. Maybe something for the CFO, something showing you your top line. And then, as I'm transitioning into this, what makes us extremely unique is you have your formatted financial and operational reports that were created in Excel, which I'll show you subsequent to the portal. And what I see, not limited to financial, I have a sales report, accounts receivable, payable, HR, and anything else you need. Now what I'll do is, just for simplicity, I'll go in here and show you a P&L. Okay. So when I open this up, these are all the examples of the previous reports that were ran. Now what I can do is I can expand this, and I can see this report was ran for corporate Asia and for July. So you're saying, you're analyzing this, but you're not sure why this is 2.2 million. What you can do is right-click, and you can drill down into the summary details to see the journal entry, and you can actually build your own custom drill to. So if you wanted to drill into specifically which salespeople are selling my product, which products are producing the most revenue, you can build a custom one and see that information directly from this portal. And if I drill down, what I can see is it goes through and fetches all of the supporting data. Okay? So that's the visual of it. Maybe you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I like this P&L, but I'm at the airport and I'm going to lose internet access on the plane. What you can do here is you can go through and click the share button. This provides a QR reader, which you can actually scan on your phone, a link, just showing you, we're a very modern tool that's built for the mobile age. And what I am going to do in this example, because I find it extremely useful for myself, is you can download it back into Excel. So I'll go in here and say P&L, click Save, and you can see that the file was downloaded, and then back on my desktop, what I can do is open that P&L, and if I want to do any of my analysis, all of that is in Excel. And the reason is, what I'll show in just a few moments, is this report was originally built with our Excel add-on. And if I look at this, maybe my product revenue right before month end is going to grow to 500,000. When I click enter, all of the data here changes, right? And that's because all these formulas were created in Excel. But maybe you're saying, all right, well, I want to run it for a different company. For you, this could be a different department, division, whatever's relevant for you. And I want to run it for a different month. Back on the portal, what you can do is you can collapse, and this is really going to be a concept that's consistent across all of our applications. Instead of having a lot of different reports and a lot of different templates, you have one that's controlled by these parameters. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, well, I want to run this for the corporate US instead of corporate Asia, and maybe here I want to run it for the previous month. I can click the refresh, and it's going to generate a brand new report for you. The benefit of this, instead of having multiple spreadsheets, different folders on your desktop or somewhere else, you have one place to access all your reports. Okay? And now this report changed for corporate US for June, and again, needless to say, you can drill down into any of the data. But you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I really want to see those dashboards. This is great, but I want to see why my revenue increased or decreased. What you can do within the same platform is scroll down, and in our example, I'll look at a revenue dashboard here. And this gives you your revenue comparison by different products, service, without going into the details of this, because again, it was customized for us at Solver, and we're a software company. The purpose is you look at this and you can interact with your data. So you can say, well, I want to see corporate US revenue. Click, and you can see it broken out by the quarters. And as I do that, all of the data beneath here changes as well. So maybe you're looking at this and you're saying, well, why is corporate US 48%? Click, you can see that because 28% of the revenue came for quarter 4, and you can see the underlying data change to support that company. Few more dashboards. You can see from a top line, this is maybe something that pertains to your CFO. They can see all of the revenue by companies, the expenses, the liquidity, receivable, and payable. And if they want to switch, they click a specific company, and they can see all the data here change as well. And then last example, because I want to get through and show you where the reports were built. As Nils kind of mentioned in his PowerPoint, just to reiterate, the power of that warehouse is you can load other data sources in. So what we did here, right, in this, we actually took data from Yahoo Finance, uploaded it into our warehouse, and made this analysis accessible. And next year, all you're going to have to do is go through and click 2016, click refresh, like you did with your report, and you're getting a brand new analysis of your business. So you're looking at this and you're saying, this is great. This is something the senior management definitely wants to see, but how hard is it to create some of these reports? So what I'll transition into showing is how to create a report from scratch. Now this is something that a senior executive might not be doing, But it's important for you guys at least to know that because you can kind of see how the accountant or the staff that's building these reports, how long it would take them to do it and the learning curve. And to show that, what I'm going to do here is I'll open Excel. And as Excel opens, I see two tabs here at the top. I see this bi360 reporting and planning. What I'll start off with is going on the reporting piece. If I did have an existing Excel template, I can select new current and continue building. In our example, I'll go in and select new blank. I'll select OK. And what I immediately see on the left-hand side, all of the SQL table names have been translated into simple business terms. And let me ask, how many of you guys, raise your hand if you're on the IT side? Okay, so one. And then how many of you guys are on the finance side? Okay, majority. And really, both components are extremely important for companies, but our tagline is self-service BI. And you see that exactly right here. All of the table names are translated. So a financial professional, without knowing SQL or without knowing language, can go in here, create his or her own reports, okay? And for formatting and formulas, they already live in Excel, so they know this. And what I'll do is, starting off, just for a very quick report, I'll build out a trial balance here. Maybe on the rows, I want to see my accounts, the description, and let's just see year to date, compare that to last year to date, okay? Along with a variance. Not going to spend too much time formatting, but again, I keep reiterating it because it's very important. It's just Excel. You don't have to learn a proprietary language like you do with a lot of other tools. Here for formatting, your accountants and finance folks typically already understand Excel. And just to show you, if I want to go in, add some very light formatting, I can go in there, add some borders and do that. Okay? Now you're looking at this, you're saying fine, but how is this different than Excel now? This I already have. And that's where our layout editor comes in. Now let me ask, how many of you guys are familiar with pivot tables in Excel? Okay, so some of you guys. Follows very similar methodology. Rows, columns, sheet, and we can even control the cell level. And what I'll do is I'll open up General Ledger Summary, drag and drop account onto the row, create a selection group, and right under account, very logical, you see its description. Drag and drop, scroll down, and now I want the amount. So very logical, on the exact same row, drag and drop, drag and drop. Then I need to somehow distinguish year to date from last year to date. And the way I do that is I go into these functions, okay? And these are all predefined functions, but if you do have your own, like you want to do a rolling 35 month, you can easily set that up. And what I'll do is I'll drag and drop year to date into column B and last year to date in column E. And then for my variance, just Excel. Now I'm using a simple formula, but if you did have an if statement or anything along those lines, you can also leverage that. Okay? And then what I'm ready now is to run this report. But before I do that, I want to say, hey, specifically what accounts do I want here? And that's where I go into the row, and since it's a trial balance, I'll go down and select all my accounts except the 9s. Now, really, the beauty of this tool, if I look at this, and this is going to be a very simple example that you're going to see across all of the reports and budget forms. If you go into your ERP and add account 77035, you're immediately going to see that in our reporting tool. And that's because what it does, if I look at the very top, it uses ranges. Okay? And as good practice, what I want to do here is say, if I add a new account, I want it to say 8999, right? To account for that. Click OK, and I'm done with my trial balance. Really simple as that. Now I run it. Very important, I built this report in design mode. That's where the accountant that's building these reports is going to do that. They're going to really build them for people that are just going to run them once a month. So if you're using our tool correctly, the entire purpose, you built these reports once or twice, and then you're able to reuse them over and over. And what I'll do here is I'll go in and just pick out maybe June of 2015, click run, and I see let me go back in there and run this. And what I see is the account description, year date, along with the last year, expanded on the row. And that's where, again, if I go in and add account 60015, all I do is click refresh, and you would see that here. Now you're saying, all right, well, what if you go in there and make a mistake? If a user goes in and accidentally makes a mistake, does something like this, all this is now in a database. So all you do is click run, and all the data appears again. Okay? So you have this trial balance. Next month, if you want to refresh your data, all you do is click July, click OK, run it, and you get brand new data. Also, similar to what you saw on the web, you can drill into all of your information. So if I wanted to go in here and say, for service revenue, I want to see the underlying detail, and click drill down, and I can see the detail. And again, just an example, if you wanted to drill into your accounts payable, your accounts receivable, maybe your salesperson, you can customize this as well. You're looking at this and maybe you're saying, well, I like being able to pick a period. Well, what if I have multiple companies or departments? Back in design, the person creating the reports, what they can do is I'll take company as an example. And very easy to change the name. You don't have to learn new language to customize. And I'll click this tree, for example. And I'll click create sheet per value, really powerful button, and what it's going to do is create a sheet for every single company. You will leverage the exact same methodology for division, department, and so forth. Click finish, and maybe just for formatting, add a few more rows here, and add the company description. Okay. What's the purpose of that? Well, now the purpose, when I go through, and as a business user, I look at this, and maybe I just care about corporate US, click run, great. I get data for corporate US. However, what if I want to go in here and I want to see the entire Western Hemisphere, which contains corporate Canada and corporate US? Now I click this node of that tree, run, and I get a tab for Western Hemisphere, a tab for corporate Canada with its own data, and corporate US with its own data. Hopefully you're starting to see how this can save you a lot of time. Good, simple example with the trial balance. So the next question is, what else can I do with this tool? And to do that, I'll go back in, I'll go to assignments, where you can keep everything nice and organized. Here we have all of our reports, along with our forecasting and budgeting templates. And what I'll start off by doing is I'll go in here and show you this bi360 decision pack. Okay? The purpose of this is to provide an overview of your business that's real time, right? So if I look at any of these tabs, if I look at receivables, what it's telling me right now is always give me my top 10 customer receivables. Similar with the trial balance, as this changes, it's going to update automatically in the system. And if I look at these tabs, nothing is hard-coded. Okay? So right now, none of this makes sense, and all of these tabs are going to roll into a news tab, which again, right now doesn't really say anything, right? It just says description, sees moderate improvement in period end, says something for your profit, your revenues, and that's because these are going to be triggered based on the parameters that you select. So I'll go, and as a business user, you can think about this. I'm going to go into Run, and I'll say what I want to analyze is corporate US. Maybe I want to compare actual to budget, as opposed to budget version 2 or 3. And just for simplicity, I'll keep it here for September. I'll go in, run this, and all of these tabs that you see below are now going to fill up with information. And they're filling up with information to give you an analysis on the front page. So you see how all of these now change, and it says corporate US sees great improvement because we did well in September. Shows you how profitable your business was, how your revenue looks, your top customers, products, who owes us money, and who we owe money to. And if I look at all these other tabs now, and the general question is, well, where did this information come from? Well, it came from all of these other tabs that now filled with information that's in your database. And look at this, kind of quick charts that were created in Excel showing debt equity ratio, whatever you want, trend, so 12-month rolling trend, loosely based on our business as of September, because that's the month we selected, a P&L variance here as of September, okay, and utilizing Excel, if I want, I can go in and see the accounts, okay, so expanding, the rows go down, and the same on the columns as well. So if I look at 2015, I want to say, all right, well, which month had the most product revenue? I can click this plus sign and see the months expanded. And this gave you data as of September, because that's the month we selected. If it was October, and I would select 2015-10, this would say October, it would give you 10 months of data, and if you didn't do that well, then the entire description in the first page would change as well. Cash flow statement, balance sheet, oops, skipped on me, let me write it one more time. Balance sheet, few more charts in Excel, and then your subledger information as well. So really the point is you can report across all of your data and have one tab analyzing all of it. So you see your top 15 sales transactions, you can see the salesperson, date they sold it, quantity and unit price, your top 10 vendor payments here, receivable, and so forth. Again, if you go in next month and Castle and Resort is no longer in the 10th place, there's another customer that owes you more money, you would automatically see that new customer in the 10th place. And that's how our tool is very dynamic. You create reports once and then reuse them over and over. So the next phase, which I want to jump into, is forecasting and budgeting. Now you're looking at this and you're saying, good, this is extracting data from my data source, but what I want to do is forecast for the remainder of the year. To show that, I'll go back into my assignments, and in the same area, I'll go in and just open up one of our forecasting templates. I'm going to keep it very simple here, just to make sure that we clearly understand the concept, and I'll open up this profit and loss. And the purpose of this, just forecast for the remainder of the year. I could pick a company, pick a department. Very important to note as I'm doing this, we have full security setting in bi360. So if I'm an executive that's just limited to seeing sales and marketing and administration, when I log in here and open this, those are going to be the only 2 departments that I'll be able to see. Click OK, and what we want to do is forecast. We want to do forecast version 1. And let's just say right now it's September. Click Run. We see the revenue and the expenses. If we scroll over, 9 months of actual data and 3 months that we can forecast out to. If I keep scrolling over to the right, we have last year for comparison. So 2 questions. One is, how do you input data? Really simple here. What you would do is you could go in and just say 700,000. You could use formulas in Excel. So if I wanted to take average and bring in last year and maybe multiply it by 20%, I can do that. Okay? And then go in here and save that data back into the database. Now, very simply, what's the purpose of doing this? And what's the advantage as opposed to doing it in Excel? Well, here's one specific example. If you're doing it in Excel, which from the raise of hands most of you were, you'd have to take the data from October, from your reporting system, copy and paste it here, change the forecast version, right? And then you'd have to do that for every single division, department, whatever else you forecast out to. Whereas here, what you're doing, you're going in, changing the month to October. You can also change the company and department, running it, and now the system is automatically going in and replacing October with actual data that's coming in. Right? And then once you start multiplying that by the divisions and departments, hopefully what you're seeing from this template is this is going to save you a lot of time. Now let's go in and let's have a few more minutes. Let's just showing a vote of hands. How many of you guys are interested in payroll templates? Do you guys budget out for your employees? Is that a part of your budgeting process? Whoever does that, if you can just raise your hand, it's going to help me pick out the right templates. Okay, no one. All right, so what I want to do then is, because I know I'm running into break, is the last template. Well, we're done forecasting. Now we want to go in and budget our operational expenses. Going back into assignments, what I see is, by the way, full workflow, where if I look at this, I can see a start and end date. So your end user cannot input data after a certain end date. You can see that it was submitted. You can see when it was opened and submitted. And then you can approve or reject them. What I'll do, go into this annual budget, open my expenses with line item details. Same concept, pick a company, department, just to keep it different. I'll pick up October this time. And the purpose of this is to budget operational expenses for next year. Run it. I'm a solution architect, so I have some of these other data already input, but for you guys, as we blink, and what I see, 12 months of data that I'm going to be able to budget for next year, and over on the right-hand side, I get 10 months of actual and 2 months of forecast. And guess where that forecast is coming from? It's coming from that very first template that I showed to you. And that's where, one, you don't have to worry about links breaking in Excel, because this forecast is now driven from a database. So if I have complicated formulas that you spend time tracking in Excel when they break, here you're no longer doing that, which not only saves time, but makes your entire budgeting process a lot more accurate. And if I scroll down, what I see here, anything that I budgeted on other forms appears and rolls into the total expenses for last year. Okay? And the total expenses that you'll budget as you go through and input data. So you already know that you can just enter data, you can use formulas. What else can you do? Very powerful button in bi360. You can click Enter Data, and it's going to pull up a new window. And what that new window is going to show, you have a charting component, and when you add budget, the green is going to change. For advertising, you can see 10 months of actual for current year, because we ran it for October, and 2 months of forecast. And right below is where you're going to do all of your work. So maybe you look at here and you're saying, well, I know my business is the advertising revenue is pretty seasonal. I know it's going to continue. But what I want to do is use actual plus forecast as a baseline for next year. You can say copy history. Note, by the way, this is just one way I'm showing you. There are many other ways of spreading. I'll do copy history, and you can see each month was copied identical for next year. That being said, I know my business is growing, and I know my advertising is also going to grow about 5%. What I can do is go in and adjust this. And now each month, adjust 5%. Can update Excel. And now if I look below, that advertising row is updated. Maybe you're scrolling through here and you're saying, well, I like this, but I have a more granular process. I want to say specifically what I'm spending money on. And if I keep going, I can go in here and go through all my rows, look at it, and maybe, office supplies is something I want to be more specific about. What I can do is have my budget users click this Add Line Item Detail button, and when I click right below, you're going to be able to go in and say, well, paper, that's what I'm going to spend money on. Maybe I'll spend $2,000 in February. Maybe in August here, I'll spend $10,000. And also, I want to add a comment. So July is a sale on paper. And do you guys remember when I went in and drilled into my data? Well, now you'll be able to drill into these office supplies and see that Alex here thinks July there's going to be a sale, and he thinks it's a good time to buy paper, and you can plan accordingly. Now, office supplies is probably a pretty silly example, but you can see how you can really leverage this for your travel and expenses. And then we can keep going. So pens, input data, and go in and also add your description here. Update Excel. After you're done, close out. Okay? And then back in your template, all you do is save data. Okay? And again, now when I run it, now it's just a report. Okay? And you can see that actually the office here changed colors. And then you do, your other department heads can do that for their departments, and then you can save as and just have a report that shows you the consolidated total in one place. But what I want to do here is go back and show you the architecture, summarize everything, because I know we're a few minutes here past break, and then leave room for questions. So if I look at everything that I've showed, and before I do that, since I'm back on the portal, everything that you just saw in Excel, you can do on the web as well. So if your end users, you've really just, maybe you're a larger company that has locations worldwide, maybe your users don't want to be in Excel, you can go, and if I look at this, you can go in and do all the same templates on the web. Okay? Just showing you one of these. The template that we just saw, the budget model expenses, same concept, select parameters, refresh, okay. And then you can still input line item details, account for seasonality, and everything else here. Okay? All right, but transitioning out, let's summarize everything we've learned today. So what I did, if I look at this architecture slide, I started off with this piece, dashboards. You can view your reports, both financial and operational, drill into your data, and really what this is, one place where the business users can see everything that was created. Then I went in and built a report. I built a report from scratch. Now for the senior execs in the room, a lot of you guys aren't going to necessarily be building a report from scratch, but I wanted to give you a perception of how easy and hopefully logical it is to do so without learning any sort of proprietary language. Then I showed you a more analytical report that took data from your general ledger, from sales, from accounts receivable, payable, and rolled all of that into a news tab. The purpose is you create that report once, and the business user can change the month, change the company, and the words will change to show your actual performance. Saves you time and is more accurate. And then I finished off with showing you the planning piece. And since it's in Excel, easy to customize, and everything you can do in Excel, you can do with our budgeting tool. But now, as you saw, when you click that save data, it collects, so you have a place for storage. You can add line item details to make your budget more granular, and it's Excel with security attached to it. So you know who's inputting data, when they're inputting, and also if they added a comment, you can see an explanation for it. And then the last piece just showed you that everything you saw in Excel in terms of budgeting, you can do on the web. One thing I'll leave you off with, I realize this is a lot of information, and it is because we're a comprehensive suite, and our real advantage point is you can go through, take all these pieces, and they integrate with each other. Now maybe you're looking at this and you're saying, this is great, but I don't know if my company's ready for an entire change like that. I just want to implement reporting or budgeting. What's very cool is you can actually go in and take a phase approach to this. So maybe you're saying reporting is my pain point right now. We can tackle reporting, okay? And then go in and do budgeting, do dashboards, whatever else you're interested. And Nils alluded to, we're a young, fast-growing company, so the advantage is we'd love to have you guys on the reporting piece and then potentially add products on, and as your business grows, you can scale with us. You don't have to worry about working with a lot of different vendors and worrying about whether the piece is integrated. One solution for all of your BI needs.